Right, so in this video, we're going to talk about Wi-Fi encryption, so WEP and WPA, specifically, hopefully, version 2. We'll talk a little bit about version 1. WEP, now you've probably seen this again before in when if you've been connecting your phone up to a router or laptop or any device up to a router, it might mention WEP, potentially. Shouldn't do, because it's not really used anymore. WEP is called Wireless Equivalent Privacy, wide equivalent privacy, and the way let me speak English. When it means wide equivalency, it's because it was basically the same as having a wired connection. That was their thinking. That's why they called it wired equivalent privacy, not wireless. So I don't know why it's called wired. You would think it would be called wireless, but it's not. It is called wired. So that's the original encryption sort of method for Wi-Fi networks. Now, it used to be a stream cipher, which, if you've not already watched my videos on stream ciphers, please go see it. That was in part 2 of section B for this unit. So stream ciphers, it either used 64-bit or 128-bit key, and was usually between 10 and 26 hexadecimal digits. So when I say hexadecimal, it means that it's between 1 and F. So it was a combination of them. It had to be between 10 and 26. However, it's no longer used because it was cracked quite a while ago. It wasn't enough to encrypt a connection between a wireless device and a wireless access point, whatever that is, router, any other sort of device like a computer or anything like that. It's been cracked since 2001, so it's not really used anymore. There are some places that still use it, but why might you think they might still use it? Because really, if it's been cracked, what would be the point? People tend to use it at home. Like you can use it on if you really want to, because it's encrypted. Like usually, if you're local at home, no one's going to really hack into it as such. And obviously, if you're setting up your own wireless access point from scratch, you could put that in if you really wanted to make it nice and simple. But obviously, it's not really used that much in terms of commercial use anyway. If you're going to use it in say like the college, because we have a wireless system you can connect to, they will not use WEP because it's not very secure. However, they will use something called an enterprise mode, which I will talk about in another video. But look out for enterprise mode. So WPA was basically developed because of the weaknesses in WEP, because obviously WEP didn't work very well in terms of being secure for very long. The best thing about this was you didn't need to upgrade hardware, so you could literally software update everything that used WEP, because it didn't work on the same basis, but it used very similar technologies, so it didn't need changing. So it was literally just a software upgrade, which was brilliant, because that means that no hardware needs to be replaced and they could just update everything, which obviously saved a lot of money for a lot of different people. WPA was in response to it, and it wasn't used for very long. It was only meant as a temporary sort of solution. So what they came up with was WPA 2. WPA 2 was basically the second iteration of it, which was a lot more secure. It used a lot more bits and sort of block ciphers in order to make it more secure. So WPA was used for a little while, but it was only ever meant for a very short period of time, and then they came up with WPA 2, which has been the standard for quite a while now. But it uses something called CCMP, and I have no idea why it's called CCMP, because it's called Cipher Blockchain Messaging Authentication Code Protocol, so it's a protocol. CCMP does not equal CBCMACP, apparently, for some reason, but that's what it stands for. So CCMP is Cipher Blockchain Messaging Authentication Code Protocol. Basically, that means that, well, if you look at it step by step, cipher blockchain. So it uses a cipher block to, or block cipher, should I say it, other way around, in order to encrypt data. So it does it in blocks instead of a stream like it used to. And when it says messaging authentication code protocol, so when it says message authentication, that'll mean that when it sends a connection request, it'll encrypt it, and then it will authenticate that it's a genuine connection by either a password or username, password, or anything like that. So it will authenticate between the device and obviously whatever it's trying to connect to. And obviously, protocol obviously means it's a rule, but it uses AES essentially. So it uses the block cipher that is in AES in order for it to work. And the reason it does that is because since it's supposed to be local with Wi-Fi, it's not meant to be sort of long range. It knows what data is going to be sent to it, so it knows to do it for specific blocks of data. If you're trying to download large piece of data over Wi-Fi, you'll find that it's a lot slower, and you probably realise it's a lot slower, especially for devices like consoles and what have you. It has gotten a lot quicker, and there's been optimization since then, but it's not really used for downloading large files, as you can probably tell, and it does make it a lot slower. And I believe WPA 3 is currently out at the minute, but it's quite a new technology. I think it's only been out since about 2018-ish. So it's not in every new device, but it is starting to become the new norm, I believe. But like anything, user responsibility is required to make it secure as possible. If you put a password on to a WPA protected device and you literally just put the word password in, it's probably going to be cracked quite easily, because there's be so many people try to crack the word password. They will know how to crack it properly, and they will look for specific signs. So the word password is on the user who sets it up. You need to set something up that's going to be difficult to try and work out, which is why if you ever get a router for your internet, and you have a local Wi-Fi password that comes as default, you're better off leaving it as the default one, because it's a mixture of letters, numbers, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, stuff like that. And they're a lot better than putting your password of like your dog's name in or something like that. So, that's WPA and WEP. So Wi-Fi protected access for WPA and wired equivalency protocol. I can never remember the P. Privacy, I apologise, for WEP. You'll need to talk about both of them again and just sort of say what they're used for and if they're sort of useful or not now, which obviously you can say WPEP isn't, WPA is, and sort of say some sort of background with it and if they're going to be useful for an organisation. So that's Wi-Fi encryption, basically sort of talked over. If you need any other information, just let me know and I'll do some extra stuff on that as well.